He's a Kansas City native who's hit the national circuit on Last Comic Standing, Comedy Central presents, and his one-hour special, Ugly and Angry.
Comedian Chris Porter is back in the Midwest and tearing up the funny bone this weekend.
He is, but first he returns to the blend right here. Good to see you, Chris.
What up?
Good to see you, man.
What's up?
Back.
Well, you were here about a year ago, I think last August.
I was.
But I wasn't here. I was gone, so you were...
It was so
it's
great.
Been a couple years.
I mean,
it was
what?
so great when I wasn't here. It was great not to have to talk to you. But it's been a couple years since I've seen you. You guys had a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. We the album's almost done. Well, the album's done. It was done when we left a year ago, but we're just waiting for all the artwork and whatnot, and then it'll be out on Spotify and all those things.
That's a long process, isn't it? Putting these things together.
It is. I mean, there's just a lot of people that you have to get artists, and you have to get people that make covers of records. Like there's a guy that does that, and, and you just have to get all those ducks in a row.
Yeah.
Now remind the viewers what album.
My new record that I recorded at the Omaha Funny Bone in August is going to be called Lost and Alone.
Okay.
And
where can we find it?
It's not out yet, but when it does come out, it'll be on Spotify,
Spotify,
and
okay.
Pandora and all the streaming. I didn't do video this time. I thought I'd give my audience a break from looking at my ugly mug.
But how do they? I mean, when you record those specials, whether it's just audio or it's televised, your crowd has to be into it. How was the Omaha crowd? And that's one of the reasons you chose to do it here in Omaha.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I've been doing Omaha's. Growing up in Kansas City, this was like the second place we ever did comedy, and so I knew I had a following, and then. Along with here and with the boys at Todd and Tyler, I knew I had a lot of support. So I felt like Omaha. I did the first one in Kansas City, and I thought Omaha would be the next best place. Yeah. So.
Well, congratulations on that. We'll be looking forward to it.
It's gonna be sweet.
It is. Well, you're on a tour right now, so tell us about your summer tour.
The big summer tour.
Yeah. Well, it's basically just an extension of the winter tour. I've had 2 weeks off since January, and it's just nonstop. I've been everywhere from Sacramento to Fort Lauderdale and everywhere in between, and it's just I'm doing a new thing now where I do like a Q&A in the middle of the show so the audience can ask me questions, and it's a lot of fun. It's all new. It's 80% new material, and because I'm working the new record, the next record's almost done.
So you're still working on you're working on the next one.
I mean, that's just my job. I write a record, I record it, and then it's on to the next one.
Now, how do you keep because you've been doing this a long time.
Yes.
How has your routine evolved over the years, and how do you see that? Because you've done these shows, the Last Comic Standing, and some of these other ones.
It's gotten less gross, I think. Like as a young comic, you tend to talk about very graphic things, very intimate sexual things, and as you grow older, you have more life experiences, and also you're done talking about that stuff.
You don't have to go down that road anymore.
And so, absolutely.
Chris Porter has grown up?
A little bit. I cut my hair. I stopped wearing bell bottoms. We're one step at a time.
Yes,
So I just think, now I talk about a little less relationship stuff and more just stuff we can all relate to. I just feel like 90% of comedy is, hey, my girlfriend hates me, blah, 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 and here's why. And I just, I've definitely done my fair share of that. And so now I'm just kind of going in a different direction for my own sanity.
Yeah.
And I'm finally dating a girl that's not psychotic. And so that's
a win.
Absolutely.
It can be hard. There's a lot of crazy ladies
especially in Los Angeles.
Looking up,
especially in Los Angeles.
So,
but you're not originally from there. Like you said, you're from Kansas City, and you had to be just excited about the Royals last year, or a couple years ago.
2 years ago. That was an amazing, amazing experience, especially for a diehard like me. I went to games in 05 where like if you showed up early enough, you could play. Like that's how terrible our team was, where it was just Mike Sweeney and 8 dudes you've never heard of. And
but you remember, I mean, the mid-'80s, '85 when they won the series down there. Do you remember that?
The only thing I remember that I was 8, and I remember going to Ewing Kaufman's house for Halloween, and they gave us all sandals. That was they were Royals World Championship sandals, and you'd walk up.
You went to Kaufman's house.
You went to Kaufman's house, this giant mansion in Mission Hills, and there were these kids. I remember one of my first memories is like they just had boxes of these sandals, and they go, "What size are you?" 8.
Oh,
Here you
man,
go.
That's hilarious.
But I don't really remember the series itself, but so it was great to finally watch them win one and be involved. I was at Game 5 of the Houston series. But the night we won it, I was in Tampa alone in a hotel room.
Right.
And Tampa's basically like South New York,
Right.
so I couldn't go celebrate. I
Yeah.
just had to sit in my hotel room with a small bottle of champagne, like,
Texting your buddies who are back
oh,
there
my phone's
watching it,
blowing up, and
Yeah.
everyone's just like, we're having the greatest time ever.
You're alone in Tampa.
Yeah, I'm just like, go Royals.
How often do you get to games?
As much as I actually flew back to Kansas City in June specifically just for Royals games.
Well, you should. I mean,
Yeah.
why not? You
And
can.
then I get to finally see them at Dodger Stadium on the 9th of July. So that'll be super fun.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be sweet.
Last year, our other host, Mary, interviewed you last year, and you were telling the story about Mumford and Son, how you ran into them in Kansas City.
Yes.
That was she was telling me about that. It was a hilarious story.
I'm friends with Justin Verlander, who's a pitcher for the Detroit Tigers.
Detroit, yeah.
And he and I went out for drinks, and while we were out, he saw a girl that he thought he recognized from hanging out with him and his fiance. And he was like, I think she's an actress. And I'm like, man, we're in Kansas City. There's no way that chick's an actress. And he asked the waiter, he goes, well, I don't know who the girl is, but everyone over there is with Mumford and Sons.
Yeah.
And so he
The
said-
band, if you're not familiar, the band
the
Mumford and
band,
Sons. Yeah.
very acoustic,
Yeah.
a lot of guys going, ah. And so, yeah, they ended up coming to half the Detroit Tigers bullpen, and it wasn't Mumford, it was just and Sons. I don't know where Mumford was, but and Sons and half the Detroit Tigers bullpen came over to my parents' house at like 1:30 on a Sunday night
Oh,
and start playing beer pong.
Right.
And at one point, my dad came downstairs and he's like, "What's going on
Did you
down
feel like you're in
here?"
high school again? You're in trouble again?
Yeah, and I go, well, Dad, this is and Sons of Mumford and Sons, and this is half the
This
Detroit
is
Tigers
Justin
bullpen.
Verlander, yeah.
Yeah, and we're
And
not
we're-
sending him home.
And
They're
we're playing
going to
beer
be
pong,
sent.
and
Yeah.
he was just like, it was in that moment that I realized my father was no longer sure if he was actually awake. Because you got to look at,
Dream.
my
Right.
sister was down there in her prom dress. Like, I don't even know how that happened.
What?
She's 30.
The story just gets
Just
better
like,
and better, right?
God bless you for still being able to fit in it, but also,
That's
what?
amazing. What is going on?
So yeah, Dad comes downstairs, sees a bunch of weird dudes that he kind of recognizes, and my sister's in her prom dress, and he's just like, I'm going to go back upstairs.
That's great.
That's
Chris Porter's going to be at the Funny
hilarious.
Bone all week, and he's got 2 shows tonight, 2 tomorrow, and then another show on Sunday, the early show at 7 o'clock. The Sunday show is great. You went to that last week,
Yeah,
Kelly.
we did with Coco Brown.
Yeah.
Sunday's a great night to head out.
It's
so.
a great
Yeah,
night.
you should come out. We'll all be there.
Yeah, call the Bone Phone for tickets, funnyboneomaha.com. Chris, thanks
Thank
for coming
you
in, buddy.
so
Thanks
much.
for having me.
Thanks for
Yeah,
this
thanks for
story.
coming. Good to
It's
see
so
you.
nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Yes.
Well, as humans, we love